Meet the Press local by the Community College of Philadelphia.
This is NBC10 at Issue.
NBC10 at Issue, Sunday, April 11th, 2010. What does an insider think of Washington now? How poisonous is the environment on Capitol Hill? Will there be new action to spur job growth? And is Wall Street at risk of going down the wrong road again? Answers from U.S. Senator Ted Kaufman now on NBC10 at Issue. Good morning. I'm Steve Highsmith. Ted Kaufman, a close friend and advisor to Vice President Joe Biden, has been a U.S. Senator since November of 2008, when then-Governor Ruth Ann Minner appointed him to fill out the term of Senator Biden after the Obama-Biden victory. Since becoming Senator, Ted Kaufman has witnessed the health care debate, visited troops overseas, and expressed concern about the plans to regulate the financial sector. Senator Kaufman is not running for the seat in this November's election. He joins us now on NBC 10 at Issue. Thanks for being here, Senator.
Hey, Steve. Thanks for having me.
Let's begin with some of the latest news over the last couple of days, and that is that Justice Stevens is going to officially retire.
Yep.
He's announced it.
Yep.
What do you hope President Obama does?
I hope President Obama looks around for someone that isn't just a judicial technocrat. I think one of the mistakes I've been involved in now, when Stevens leaves, when I worked for Senator Biden, involved with every Supreme Court nominee, every nomination of every Supreme Court nominee that we have, everybody that serves in the justice. And one of the things we kind of overlooked is we got a number of people who are very, very smart and very, very qualified, but all kind of came out of the judicial tradition. Mm-hmm. And I think it's really good to have back in the court some people who have not come out of the judicial tradition. We had some great Supreme Court justices over the years, Hugo Black, Warren, lots of them who did not.
Can you give me some names?
You know, on top of my head, I'm trying to think.
How about Hillary Clinton?
Hillary Clinton would be great. Interior Secretary Salazar would be great. Kathy Sebelius would be great. There's loads and loads of people who, Governor Granholm from Michigan would be great. There's a whole bunch of people.
Do you think that Hillary Clinton could get confirmed?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah, she'd be confirmed. One of the reasons is because she's a former senator. And the Senate is a club in many ways.
Well, let me ask you this. I know he's got a job right now,
right.
But what about Vice President Biden?
Vice President Biden would be great. I mean, really, truly, it would be great. But I think he's got his hands full of being Vice President.
When you look at, given the health care debate and what's happened over the last year, do you expect that there will likely be a strong Republican fight, possibly even a filibuster against whomever the president nominates?
It could be. I don't discount it. I think that to a certain extent, the Republican Party now is being driven a lot by the more conservative members of the party. And I think that when you look out there, what their reaction will be, I think it'll be strong to just about anybody Barack Obama nominates. So we'll see. I mean, I hope we can get the votes. There are a number of Republicans, very prominent Republicans, who during the earlier debate, when the Democrats were in the minority, the Republicans in the majority, said, you know, I will never vote to filibuster a Supreme Court justice. So we'll see how that delivers. There's a lot of different things going on here.
How poisonous is the atmosphere right now?
Well, you know, it's funny, Steve. It's not a civility problem. People always say there's a civility problem. There's not a civility problem in Washington. I've been in Washington. I started in 1972. I was on Senator Biden's staff until 1995. I've taught about the Congress for 20 years at the Duke Law School. And the civility's good. I mean, there's not a single Republican senator that I don't like. So
what's the problem?
The problem is there are really basic differences of opinion on what we should be doing. That is the real problem. There are really basic differences, and they reflect the basic differences out in the country.
Are you saying it's really, in your mind, then, a principled fight, or do you no?
Well, there's politics get into it. First off, what it's not that people don't like each other. What it is there is politics involved. Because basically, look, the Republicans, I think, decided, it's pretty clear now, a year and a half ago, that they were just going to try to stop everything that Congress did in its tracks, the Senate was doing its tracks, and then go to the elections in November 2010 arguing that Congress didn't do anything. I mean, they were against the health care reform. They were against the Recovery Act. You know, they've been against just about everything that's come down the pike in terms of we have to get 60 votes in order to pass, and now we only have 59. So I think that's pretty much a political strategy. But it's based on the basic principle, Steve. It's not like they're doing it to get more money or jobs. They do it. They just think the Republicans are better able to govern.
What's driving the bus here? Is it the principle and the other stuff's involved, or is it the politics and the principle as an adjunct?
It's a good non-analogy. It isn't like driving a bus. It's like there are so many different factors that affect it. But I think one of the primary is principle. I mean, look at the economic issue. One I always tell my students in school is, if you wake a Democrat up at 3 o'clock in the morning before they have a chance to get their head together and you say to them, there's a recession, what should we do? A Democrat will say, we got to do something about jobs. and we've got to do something about taking care of the people that hurt, unemployment extension, insurance, and things like that. If you wake a Republican up at 3 o'clock in the morning, you say, we got a session, what are you going to do? They say, we've got to cut taxes and get growth. That is basic to why people are Democrats and Republicans. So when you bring a bill like the Economic Recovery Package, when we did, the Democrats basically said, look, this ought to be all about jobs. Republicans said it should all be about tax cuts. That wasn't, now was there politics involved? There's always politics involved. Hey, I used to work at the DuPont company, there's politics involved there. I'm sure at this radio, not at this station, but at many stations, there's politics involved there. And so there is politics to it. But a lot of it is really based on principles, especially now when you have the Republican representation down at only 41. It's a much more conservative group than it was. Like when
the Today Gallup poll came out this week, and it said that the Democratic approval number, I believe, was 41%. Right. Republican approval is now 42%. Yeah. A huge sea change from 2006 to now. Yeah. And the idea being that, well, first of all, 41, 42 isn't good for anybody.
Exactly.
So what's it say about Congress, and what's it say about your own party right now?
What it basically says is that we are in tough economic times. That's what it says. If you go back and look, if you're in power, if you're the governor of a state, or the mayor of a city, or in charge in Washington, and the economy's bad, your numbers are going to go down. I don't care what you do. And you just go back and look in history, it's irrefutable. Just think back. In the last 60 years, we've only had 2 presidents of the United States who were defeated when they were running for re-election. Jimmy Carter and George Bush won. What do they have in common?
Economic issues.
Exactly. All those other times when people were running for re-election, they got re-elected.
So what are you saying? Are you saying that the American people really doesn't know, or enough of them don't know what they want, or don't understand the issues or complexities? Because I could argue in both the cases, Republican and Democrat, there were factors beyond a president's control.
Oh, yeah, by the way, there are factors, but the single biggest factor is the economy. Oh, there's loads of things beyond a president's control. I mean, Jimmy Carter may have actually pulled it out if the hostages hadn't happened just when they happened, the rest of it. And there is incredible pressure to have an incumbent. But I'm just saying, and it's justifiable. It's not like, the American people are, when you're in a situation like we're in right now, where people are out of work, I mean, when you lose your job, you just don't lose your economic wherewithal. That's who you are. And you lose your health insurance. And you have to, I mean, the worst of all, you have to go home and tell your spouse and kids you've lost your job. I mean, people get mad. They get angry about that.
All right, when we come back, I want to ask you about what you think we ought to do to get this off the dime here and get people employed. Also ask you about your trip, latest trip to Southwest Asia, and about the Vice President. More with U.S. Senator Ted Kaufman in a moment, including his trip to Southwest Asia. Stay tuned.
You're watching NBC10 at Issue.
The people now, give the people what they want. Well, got to give the people, give the people what they want.
Welcome to the really big thing.
Oh, thank you.
We usually don't have events like this.
I can see that.
But Honda is #1 in brand loyalty.
Wow.
Very dependable, most repeat buyers.
People love them.
Thanks, Steve. And you can get a great deal right now.
Cool.
Hey, can you hold Steve just for a second? Whoa! He'll be all right. The important thing is you can get some great deals right now.
For the first time ever, we saw Honda CR-V for 0 down payment and 0 due at signing.
It's called the really big thing, only at your Honda dealer.
It's tax refund season.
I bought state minimum coverage with Safe Auto, and with the money I had left over, I'm getting this.
Nice.
Safe Auto. If you don't go down that water slide one more time, you're in big trouble, Missy. When you put fun first, that's Great Wolf Logic.
And this spring, there's even more fun coming to Great Wolf Lodge Pocono Mountains. Plunge down 2 jaw-dropping funnels and a hair-raising rush through the all-new double-barrel drop. If you're going to be on a water slide, it might as well make you howl. That's Great Wolf Logic.
Glenn Hurricane Schwartz, Philadelphia's most experienced meteorologist. First to earn the AMS seal, the first guy to chase storms for the Weather Channel, and Philadelphia's only hurricane specialist. It's not about the bow tie, it's about the guy who's wearing it. Turn to Glenn Hurricane Schwartz. Turn to NBC10. A lot can happen to the skies overnight. Turn to NBC10 News today for the Earthwatch Daily Planner, breaking down the day's weather hour by hour.
We will see sunshine today.
Turn to NBC10 News today, weekdays from 5 to 7 a.m. You're watching NBC10 at Issue.
I'm Steve Highsmith. NBC10 at Issue continues with U.S. Senator Ted Kaufman of Delaware. Senator Kaufman is a Duke and Wharton graduate and is a senior lecturing fellow on the Congress at Duke University School of Law. Thanks again, Senator, for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me, Steve.
Just a quick follow-up on Justice Stevens' thing. I was just thinking you kind of fit the profile of someone that you're talking about.
Yeah, no, I think that's it's a great job, but I'm not applying for it.
All right. On the economy, is the economy really turning around?
Yeah, the economy really is. And I think one of the things we did on the Recovery Act when we passed it, we really kind of sold it the wrong way, and I mean all of us. And as we kept talking about, you know, if you get this much money, you're going to have this much job. The real reason for the Recovery Act was to turn the economy around, and then the economy turning around would develop jobs. And if you go,
so what has to happen now, though, to get these jobs going?
Let me just look. If you just look at the thing, if you look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average, you look around March, we passed the Recovery Act, it went like this. If you look at gross domestic product, it went around just like this. If you looked at the loss of jobs, it went like up like this and then down.
Like everybody has a 401k is happy that the stock market is doing well, but the stock market, superficially at least, if not directly, is what got us into this mess.
No, my point is this: the economy is. I just wanted to say what's unassailable. The economy is doing better. The gross domestic product's up, and manufacturing is up. All those things are happening. The problem is, if you go back and look at the last 10 recessions, in every one of them, jobs lag the economy. It makes good sense. I mean, if you're a business person and you just laid people off, you don't want to hire them right back until you're sure the economy's back. So the jobs are coming.
So we just sit and let it happen on its own, or do we have to do something else?
I think we got to do all kinds. For instance, one of the biggest problems we're having in the Congress right now is passing unemployment insurance. We got to do something about unemployment insurance. Those folks out there, most of them, they didn't lose their jobs because they did something wrong. They lost their job because the economy turned bad. We have to do things like that. We have to take care of them. We have to continue the programs we have. We just passed a jobs bill.
Why did Congress go on a break?
Huh?
Without passing the extension?
The Congress goes. Congress, by the way, a break is not a break. If you look where my colleagues are, they're back working. Steve, one of the most important parts, and I'm not running, but I'm just telling you, the most important parts of this job is getting home and find out what the people think. It really is. I learned the best things.
If you go by the polls, the people are saying right now they want the deficit to come down. They don't want more government spending, and they're still not happy about that health care thing.
That's
and that's
exactly
opposite from how you were voting, right?
No. Well, no. In terms of deficits, I'm bearish on the deficits. And by the way, the people that say we shouldn't have the deficits, there are bad deficits, which are the ones run up for the last 10 years, where we had good times and we ran a $5 trillion deficit. Even though the Congressional Budget Office said when the Bush administration took office, we should have had $5.6 million in surplus. Remember those days?
Oh, yeah.
The surplus days? So they turn around $10 million.
You firmly believe, though, the health care vote that you voted affirmative for is going to bring down the deficit in the second decade?
No, I think it's going to bring down the deficit. First off, according to the Congressional Budget Office, it'll bring it down $130 billion in the next 10 years, which will be the second largest deficit reduction.
And then after that, larger.
But, no, I think it'll be bigger than $130 billion.
No, I mean, in the next 10 years, you think it'll be larger than
$1 trillion. But I think in this next 10 years, we're going to get more than $130 billion, because what we have to do is we have to change the whole way we deliver health care, and that's what we do it. CBO, Congressional Budget Office, would not.
Well, we've got 1 in 5 people, maybe some people say 1 in 4, 1 in 5 people that are either out of work, stop looking for work, or greatly underemployed.
Exactly.
And a lot of people blame the financial sector for that.
Right. That is,
greed. Everything that happened. There's probably a number of factors, but that seems to be the center pillar.
Oh, by the way, the cause of this one, it clearly was the fact that the stock market blew up.
Okay. Are we correcting that?
Well, we're in the process. The Senate's in process of considering the Financial Regulatory Reform Act.
But when you look at the paper and look what the Obama administration is saying, the word on the street is wink, wink. They're going to do a little bit.
Right.
But this same stuff could happen, or something similar to it could happen all over again.
Right. Well, no, I think that there's a genuine, again, here, a difference of opinion on how we should do it and what we should do it. The biggest thing I think, and they think, is we got to do something about too big to fail. That is the cornerstone of this thing, because it all started when these banks started going down. We had to bail them out in order to keep them from going down. Even so,
you think the banks should be broken up, the big banks?
Absolutely right. I just think that they're too big. Let me just give you some numbers. And I don't want to get into whole numbers, but 15 years ago, the 6 largest banks in America, when you add up all their assets, they were 17% of the gross domestic product. Today, the top 6 banks in the country's assets are up to 62% of the gross domestic product.
But remember the S&L crisis of the 80s, those were small institutions. So what is the benefit of going back to, in a sense, smaller institutions?
Because when a bank is too big to fail. I mean, even Alan Greenspan, who I think was one of the people most complicit in what happened, even he said the other day, too big to fail is too big. You cannot have these massive banks. There's no way you can deal with it. And if they start to fail, then you can't let them go down.
Okay, let's say you're right. What's stopping that from happening? Haven't you said fraud and potential criminal conduct were at the heart of the financial crisis?
Exactly right. And I've got a major, first thing I did when I got to Congress was I got together with Pat Leahy, the Democrat chairman of the Judiciary Committee from Vermont, and Chuck Grassley, who's a Republican from Iowa, and we passed a bill in order to increase the number of FBI agents and prosecutors to go after them. We're on that track. I guarantee you that they are constantly $175 million at the Securities Exchange Commission and the Department of Justice and at the FBI to go after the people that cause this.
Yes or no question. Today, are you confident President Obama and his administration, Larry Summers, his economic aid, are on the track you would like them to be on?
They're on the track. I have some basic disagreements with what they're doing.
In other words, they're not tough enough yet.
In this one area, I don't think they are.
All right. Still to come, what the Senator thinks of Vice President's performance, next on NBC10 Edition.
You're watching NBC10 at Issue.
You can save big when you go green with Window Wizards. How? Window Wizards Cellutech windows have some of the best energy-efficient ratings around. That means you save on air conditioning costs in the summer and heating costs in the winter. And with every 2 Cellutech windows you buy, I'll give you 1 free. Buy 4 windows, get 2 free. Buy 6 windows, get 3 free. No strings, no limits. You can shop in the convenience of your own home, and we'll include expert installation. Our Cellutech windows qualify for the government's $1,500 tax credit. You can even put no money down and get up to 120 months to pay. Call 1-800-922-8060 now for a free in-home consultation. And to receive up to $1,500 in the government tax credit in your next tax return, you must have your new windows installed before the end of the year. So call now for a no-obligation in-home consultation. Call 1-800-922-8060. That's 1-800-922-8060. Green's the word, so go green and save big bucks.
Are you watching cable? Here's what you should be watching. Your cable bill. Because you could be paying way too much. Stop spending more for second best. Upgrade to Verizon Fios and get TV, internet, and phone for just $69.99 a month for 6 months. 3 top-rated services for 1 rock-bottom price. But don't wait. This is your last chance. Fios gives you what cable doesn't. The best channel lineup and the most HD. Facebook and Twitter on your TV, plus America's top-rated internet. Fios is the future, but after April 17th, this price will be history. Get Fios TV, internet, and phone for just $69.99 a month for 6 months with a 2-year agreement. Call now. If you stick with cable, you'll be stuck with the bill. Last chance to get 3 Fios services for an amazing $69.99 a month for 6 months. Call 1-888-884-FIOS. That's 1-888-884-FIOS. This is beyond cable. This is Fios.
You're watching NBC10 at Issue.
I want to get to a couple of things, but I want to continue for a moment as we talk with Delaware U.S. Senator Ted Kaufman on the economy. Really quickly, just be clear, Wall Street obviously has been performing well over the last year. Is it a false recovery?
No, I think no, we have an economic recovery. I think we genuinely have an economic recovery.
But you think fluctuations are still a possibility?
It's the nature of the beast.
Why is there no credible long-term plan for reducing the deficit?
Oh, there is. By the way, the first step in the reducing deficit plan is passing health care reform. I mean, if you look at where the deficits are coming from, this is what amazes me about some people say they're for the deficit, but they're opposed to health care reform. You look where the deficits are coming. Medicare and Medicaid are right at the top of the list.
All right, I'm getting to that, but really there isn't a plan. The president has not stood up. His predecessor didn't stand up and say, this is our debt. This is what we're going to do to make sure our debt. They do it in annual budgets when they pass. They do the projections.
Well, he said for instance, he's frozen discretionary. He says the plan.
That's a small part, though.
No, that, by the way, it's the smallest part. Absolutely right. But look at where the debt is. First off, the biggest chunk is Medicare and Medicaid. Second is Social Security. That's the third thing. And then defense.
And what they've done. Fed Chairman Ben Bernanke this week said Americans have to accept tax increases or cuts in Medicare and Social Security, some combination of that.
I think that's right. And what they've done is, what the president's done is, because this is the smart way to do it, and again, I'm not running, so I'm telling you, what I believe, is he set up this commission. Which is really, you got to get some Republicans and Democrats to sit down in a room and say everything's on the table. Because the way it is right now in the Senate, Republicans say we won't do anything that has to do with any tax increases. You cannot, there isn't a business in the world that if you said to them, you're having trouble, they said, okay, we got to do something, but we cannot raise prices. I mean, there's not a business in the world.
We've had bipartisan commissions before, though. Congress, for the very reasons you just hinted at, did very little with So what makes you think this time's different? Because the crisis is closer?
No, by the way, we haven't. The number of commissions, my favorite commission is the one that we did to reorganize Social Security, that Pat Moynihan and Bob Dole did, and it worked out fine. The commissions, there is a good history for commissions, and I think right now they're ready for it. I think somebody has to put a proposal on the table that does it. And look, right now, the biggest thing, we have to do something about revenues. I mean, I'm not saying, sitting here saying what the revenues are going to be. It has something to revenues. The Republican Party right now in the Senate gets up on the Senate floor and says, we got to do some of the deficits. We have to do some of the deficits. We have to do some of it, but we will not be involved in anything that's going to increase taxes. That will not work. The way it worked last time, Steve, was when Bush won. Remember, he got up and he broke his pledge, read my lips, no new taxes, for which he lost the presidency. And then in 1994, Bill Clinton came along and passed the largest tax increase in history. And I remember Newt Gingrich and Bob Dole going on the floor and saying it's going to ruin the stock market, it's going to drive interest rates through the roof, it's going to raise unemployment. And what do we have? We had an incredible, prosperous time.
But what happened is, two quick political observations, and then you respond to that. One, when George Herbert Walker Bush did raise taxes, went along with the Democrats, as soon as that was signed, the Democrats nailed him to the wall and said, you know, kick this guy out of office, and they convinced the American people to do it. And then, but if he hadn't raised those taxes, he probably would have gotten reelected.
By the way, the people that did in George Bush, I mean, on a revisionist history, when he said reorganize taxes, remember, he got a primary. That's what killed George Bush politically, the economy and the fact that he had a primary.
Democrats had nothing to do with it.
Oh, the Democrats, by the way, every 4 years the Democrats...
And of course, later on, Republicans took the Congress as a result of that. So that gets to the point.
Yeah, it's hard, and that's why people don't want to do it. No, it's hard, and that's why, you know, and I think that's why you need to have a bipartisan consensus.
All right, Southwest Asia, you went there. Are we doing the right thing in Afghanistan?
Yeah, right now, I think we are. It's very, very difficult, and obviously one of the biggest problems we have is the government in Kabul. But that's the problem. And after I was over there in April and September last year, both times I came back and said, the biggest problem in Afghanistan is getting the central government straightened out. Because they just never had a central government, because there's so many conflicts, and because of the person that we have over there, Hamid Karzai, who is a problem.
And Pakistan, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being very worried, how worried should we be about the instability of Pakistan, particularly as it pertains to its nuclear stockpile?
Very worried, but let me, you know, very worried. But when I came back a year ago, I said 14. Worried. I mean, back then, remember the Swat Valley, and we had the Taliban was moving towards Islamabad, and the Pakistani army just didn't get it.
So we dropped below 10. We're 9, 10 now. Not 14.
Pakistan has nuclear weapons. They have, you know, a very unstable kind of society. All kinds of bad things can happen. If they happen, they've got nuclear weapons. So you got to be very worried about them.
The Vice President, I promise I'll get to it. Environmental concerns and more when NBC10 at Issue continues. Stay tuned.
You're watching NBC10 at Issue.
Here's what you missed last week on NBC10 News.
I had your exclusive Earthwatch look at the record-breaking heat and track the severe weather that brought back the cooler air.
Plus, having trouble finding a job? Only Tracy showed you where to turn that could get you hired.
Also, only NBC10 showed you how to get off the hook when it comes to paying your taxes.
And Monday at 11, the do's and don'ts of looking for help when climbing out of debt.
Only Tracy Davidson shows you how to get back on your feet without losing it all. Turn to NBC10 News.
Wow, is this
501 honey clusters? Yes.
It's delicious.
I know.
But it can't
have about half a day's worth of fiber? I assure you it does.
I was
expecting sawdust and cardboard? I know.
I can
only taste the crunchy clusters, honey, and brown sugar. No, madam, I don't have ESP.
Okay. I'll take a box. You probably already knew that.
501. Cardboard no. Delicious yes. Just when you thought you were done with your paint project, you discover paint bleed under your tape. Not anymore with patented Frog Tape. Frog Tape is the only tape treated with paint block technology. Watch how it works. Paint block reacts with water, simulating latex paint, and instantly gels to form a micro barrier that seals the edges of the tape, preventing paint bleed. Look at the results. With Frog Tape, no messy lines, no paint bleed. Frog Tape keeps paint out, keeps lines sharp.
Available at Lowe's, Sherwin-Williams, and other fine retailers.
Hi, we're Aldi. Maybe you've heard of us or seen our store and wondered what we're all about. We live by one very simple philosophy: honest-to-goodness savings. That means fresh quality produce, milk, eggs, meat, and more for low, really low, unbelievably low prices. Seriously, if you shop here and don't save a bunch of money, you must not have bought anything. Why not come on in and give us a try? Aldi, honest-to-goodness savings.
You're watching NBC 10 at Issue.
NBC 10 at Issue continues with Senator Ted Kaufman. Senator, how often do you talk with the Vice President?
Oh, I'd say probably every couple of weeks or so. Sometimes I talk to him 2 or 3 times a week and then don't talk to him for 2 or 3 weeks.
And what's your sense? Does the President take his counsel, his advice?
Oh, yeah. No, I think that it's pretty clear that the President does take his counsel. I mean, look at the things that he's done and look at what the President's asked him to do. I mean, just to start with, he's the first time we went over, remember, gave the first speech on foreign policy. The President's great. The President put him in charge of Iraq. The President put him in charge of following up on the Recovery Act. He put him in charge of the Middle East thing. No, they have a great relationship. Remember, Barack Obama, served in the Senate with Joe Biden. He knew what he was getting before he ever picked him. Mm-hmm. So I felt right from the beginning they're going to have a good relationship. And plus, the Vice President brings a lot to the table if you're President of the United States in terms of his knowledge, but also his relationships.
The spotlight that is on the White House and the old executive office building is so large, no one can really be prepared for it if you talk to most historians about it. So when you have Senator Joe Biden go there, who is known for occasionally saying something that gets attention. Does he talk about that? I mean,
oh, sure. He says, look, you can't have it both ways. One of the things that's great about Joe Biden is his candor. I mean, people know the reason why I got elected 7 times from Delaware is because when Joe Biden says something, you're getting the varnished person. You never have to worry about him dissembling. You never have to worry about him being, not telling you what it is. You always know where you stand with Joe Biden. So every once in a while he says something that kind of just goes a little bit over the edge. But this really thing about him is he's 4 years younger than me, but he's been able to change. It's incredible to go from United States Senator, where you're your own operative, and go and now be working for somebody else, being part of a large organization. I mean, even with this whole kind of gaffe thing, how many has he had recently? Very, very few. And they're more and more getting to be gaffes that are just funny. People's attitudes about whether they're funny or not. And so I think he's doing just a great job. And I think he's doing the one thing that, well, let me tell you a story. He came back when he was he came over for State of the Union. He was next to a congressman named Claude Pepper. They used to call him Senator Pepper, and he was like kind of 85 years old. And after Reagan, when Reagan was speaking, after it was over, Joe turned to what they used to call Senator Pepper. And he says, Senator, he says, Reagan never changed. He says, Joe, do you know anybody his age that changes? I mean, the idea that he's been able to move from being his own operator into a big organization like this with the lights on him and still maintain his candor is obviously I'm partial to him. I gave him the best years of my life.
Oh, we only have a handful of seconds left. This run for you, this time in office, what's it meant to you?
It's been great. It's been great. It's not,
It's not over yet, but...
No, it's been great, and it's a great opportunity, but boy, I tell you what, the challenges are just great, but it's a wonderful thing to be able to do it, and my grandchildren love it. So,
congratulations to you. Talk to you again. Thank you, Senator. Yeah. That's it for this edition of NBC 10 at Issue. Thanks for joining us at our new time. I'm Steve Highsmith. Enjoy your Sunday, and have a great week ahead.